Well, that's the third time I still managed to get things wrong, but then that's how I think people might start tuning in just to see the disasters at the beginning. Hiya, Niall. How are you doing?
Yeah, really good for that. Actually, it's really cheered me up.
Did you think we were on the wrong show then?
I was a bit like, what's happening?
Oh gosh, we're doing the toy box one. But it is Christmas. You maybe thought I was going to send you a present or something then. I tell you what.
No, I'm feeling very festive. Look, I've got my mulled cider.
Very nice. I can't get that festive at the moment, but I suppose I could mention since the toy box came in, I could show a B&M doll. There you go. Do you collect them?
No, but I'm really jealous of that now. Was that
That was
6?
that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
That was from
That's
the
really
Ultimate
cool.
Adventure one. You know the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. I mean, I started only collecting them about a year ago, and it's frightening to see how many there are out there. Okay, then. So tonight it's the ratings. I suppose it's just to kind of have a nice review of the three specials and where they're stood and how they're performed and whether we think that bodes well. I mean, Niall, you've seen the three specials. How do you think Doctor Who rated as you received it, so to speak?
I think thinking of them overall, I thought they were all really good. Obviously, if we did a kind of deep evaluation, there's always going to be I could nitpick about stuff and think, oh, that was a bit. But overall, I thought it was fantastic TV, and I kind of feel like we're at the start of a really exciting phase of Doctor Who, where kind of Disney Plus are taking it over. So I kind of feel that's like the three specials is almost like a precursor to the Christmas special, which is like a jumping on point.
Yes. Are you, before we look at them, were you surprised by the ratings you heard compared to how Doctor Who has been for the last 5, 6, 7 years? Do you think we did well? Do you think not? How did you see it?
I think the ratings are better than they have been for quite a while, but actually, I also think that things like the publicity has been better. I kind of think that Russell T Davies, and I might have said this the last time we spoke, but I kind of see him as the John Nathan Turner of this generation. Like, I think he gets publicity a lot more, so I think he's good at creating buzz, and I think sometimes he does that by kind of sound bites. Sometimes he does that by just lying. Everyone gets all up in arms. We'll still watch it anyway. So I kind of feel like he's been working his magic in the background, but also I think people are excited about David Tennant coming back and about Donna coming back, and I kind of think that actually that's created a lot of buzz. So I would say actually, yeah, I think the ratings have been kind of the best they have been in a while.
I'm quite surprised how the ratings now, the numbers we're pleased with now are so much lower than before, and you wonder where we're heading. I mean, will BBC, ITV, and all of them be pleased with 2 million in the future? And you think, so therefore, how do we judge this anymore? Because in essence, it's saying nobody's really watching, whatever people are doing. But it just shows you how TV's fallen in the scales of people's priorities, really.
Well, yeah, but I think the media landscape's changed, hasn't it? And it's like you think back to the days of Tom Baker, and it was only like what 2 other channels at that point.
Yeah.
To compete with, so you're going to get bigger ratings, and now there's like so many other things, and that's before and there's so many other TV channels, like, and then you get things like Netflix, Disney Plus, then there's things like YouTube, other streaming services. So the way we are entertained and the way we watch TV are like totally different now. So I kind of think you have to take that into account, but I'm sure there must be like stats, there must be ways for them to measure this stuff in a really effective way. You'd hope so anyway.
Yeah, well, we'll get into it now, and so when people kind of tune into this, we're going to give our responses to how it's gone. So thanks for doing this, Niall. Obviously, please,
Right.
we're a growing channel, so I will beg in a very humble, meek way, as Beep the Meep did, to please like and subscribe. It helps us, it cheers us, it supports us. But I have to say, as the kids in my classes know, I can soon turn. So no, please like and subscribe, or else no, please, that would be much appreciated by the team. Okay, so we're looking at special by special, and of course this God, it felt like forever now before this came back. We waited a long time between Power of the Doctor and this, and so there was all the excitement of RTD coming back, Murray Gold coming back, David and Catherine, some people who knew the comic, Beep the Meep, the whole lot of it. So we had 5.08 the ratings, consolidated for 7.61. Good start.
I'd say so, and I think also how long is this going to be? How long is the Starbase going to be on iPlayer for? So potentially there are still more people to watch it, and there might be people that are kind of saving back, and you're going to get people that are just kind of going to tune in randomly and think, oh yeah, I'll give that a go. So I don't think 7.6 is a good start, but it's not. It's certainly not going to be the final total, is it? Because people are still going to jump on board.
No, and
But yeah, no, I think that's.
I mean,
It's good.
I'll jump to a slide to actually explain that, because he was very happy, Russell Davies, just the other day with the Star Beast now hitting 9 million.
Right.
Now, I suppose, is that 2 weeks consolidated, or however they call it now? But I don't know how reliable those are. I'm not an expert, but I don't know how reliable it is to say, well, we've now hit. I mean, it's a bit like me running this little YouTube thing, and in 3 years, somebody says, "Oh, your first show's now got 500 reviews," and you think, well, yeah, but it's taken how many years to get to get there. So I don't know how much we are supposed to be pleased, like Russell Davies is saying he's pleased that they've hit 9 million in 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, yes, people are still watching, but I don't quite know what that means, so to speak.
I think it's good. I think 9-10 million is a really good kind of figure, but also I think that, just putting on my kind of PR head a little bit, Russell T Davies isn't going to kind of tweet about something in a negative way. So even if it wasn't, even if it was like a lower rating, he's not going to be like, "Oh, this is pretty rubbish," is he? Because it's not exactly the way to advertise a TV show. But no, I think the figures speak for themselves, and I think that's a really good start.
It's a hell of a good jump as well. I mean, I've got down 2.5 million. It jumped from the overnights to 7 days. I mean, that's a hell of a decent jump. And I will look in a moment at the last season of Jodie Whittaker, and whenever we look at the stats, the jump wasn't that big. It got closer with Power of the Doctor, but 2.5 is a really healthy jump in a week. And there's a few various stats there that Doctor Who was the only program in the top 10, shouldering only Strictly Come Dancing and I'm a Celebrity. Nothing else got in the top 10. So it has to be surely in that way seen as a success.
Yeah.
So that's how it did. There's always the nonsense about Rotten Tomatoes, isn't it? About whether, was it panned by the critics, etc. But I suppose we're the fans, we're the audience. Did we watch? How many times have you watched it, Star Beast?
Only once. And I'm going to do a second watch. The thing is, I tend to watch a Doctor episode once to begin with. Then I'll go on and do kind of all my YouTube reactors, which is it's my like guilty pleasure. And then I'll probably go back and watch it again with almost with a different lens on. So my plan would probably be to try and fit in the 3 specials just before the Christmas Day one.
Since we're doing the ratings for the 3 specials, which one would you like to watch the most again?
Oh, how long have you got? Okay.
Because I
think it's really difficult. It's really difficult because I would say the first one, the Star Beast, I liked it because it just felt like traditional Doctor Who. It felt like family friendly, traditional Doctor Who, no backstory, just a rollicking good adventure.
Yeah.
The second one, the second special, I liked that because to me that kind of felt a little bit eerie and a little bit odd, and it kind of made me think of kind of Patrick Troughton episodes, like maybe the Moon Base or the Wheel in Space, that kind of eerie, kind of a bit otherly. And then I'd say the third one, because of Unit and because of the toy maker, that to me kind of maybe reminded me of like the kind of 70s era of Doctor Who, because you've got like the Unit family and then you've got like a past villains come back. So there's things to take from all of them, but I think if I had to watch any of them again, I think it would probably be the most recent one.
Yeah.
Just because you get that scene at the end with the 2 Doctors, I just thought it was amazing. I love that.
You've got a classic multi-Doctor element, and you've got a regeneration and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know when I look, I'm thinking, do you know what? I liked Wild Blue Yonder in some ways. I don't want to say too much because as I'm advertising, we're going to discuss it on Tuesday night. But I think it's a bit like Midnight. I really enjoyed Midnight. It's a character one, and it's all psychological drama in many ways. And in some ways, it means I won't watch it necessarily a lot. It's just, it was nice to watch at the time. It was all consuming. And, once you know the resolution, so to speak, it's one of those where I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I'd really want to go through that again. Giggle, yes. Star Beast, in parts. So I suppose, yeah, it's a real funny one to think, well, God, how do people watch this again and again and again and again? I don't know. Now, what I've got up here is the Jodie Whittaker 2021-2 season with the 3 specials, just to kind of compare like for like. But I'll do come in a minute, Niall, on this, because we just talked about the 2.5 million pickup of the Star Beast, which, as they say, it's the best for 5 years for Doctor Who. And as you can see here, her pickup really tended to be, I mean, episode 1, 1.4 million, 1.2 million, sorry. And then it was just about the million figure it would pick up. Power of the Doctor was a bit better with 1.4 again there. So there were issues about the pickup for the Jodie Whittaker overnights to Consolidated. Her audience appreciation, as you can see there, hovered around the later 70s when Star Beast was 84. So we've picked up on audience appreciation. The stats have picked up, and the catch up seems to have picked up. Now you've got some opinions on how the fairness of this stat by stat comparison, haven't you?
Yeah, that makes me sound really controversial the way you
sorry.
I just think, for me, I really like Jodie Whittaker's portrayal of the Doctor, and I think she did really well in the part. I think I agree with the common complaint that actually some of the writing in places wasn't that great, but I also kind of think that I don't really think the fan base supported that era at all. I think that there was so much negativity around it, and even like my own personal experience, I'd get scared at points to kind of, you go on Facebook, you can go into like Doctor Who groups. I'd be scared of posting that I liked it because I knew that I'd have about 15, 20 other people ready to tell me that I was wrong. And that I didn't like, because I kind of think actually as a fan base, we need to be a lot more tolerant and kind of be like, do you know what? If you enjoyed it, that great, not my thing, but I'm pleased that you got something out of it, rather than telling each other we're wrong, which kind of actually leads into the giggle a little bit, doesn't it? That whole thing about people always being right. So my argument is always a bit like, actually, if the fan base had supported it a little bit more and were a little bit more positive and open-minded, would it have done as badly as it did? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit naive there. But certainly, I think that it's just a shame, because I think me and my husband, we did a rewatch of Jodie's era again recently, and that was kind of us trying to be fair to it, almost trying to just like rewatch it again and give it a fresh perspective, and we really enjoyed it. Like, we were like, actually, it's really good. And I would say that her era also showcased a massive increase in production values. Like, you look at, and don't get me wrong, love Peter Capaldi, one of my favourite Doctors. But in terms of a production point of view, you look at some of his episodes and compare them, and like things like the cinematography were amazing in the Jodie Whittaker era. So I kind of think actually it deserves another go, and I would encourage people to maybe come back to it with a fresh pair of eyes.
It was an interesting one. I haven't got the stat up there because we're trying to compare and be fair here. But and of course the stats, as the article on the right says, it kind of obliterates the Jodie Whittaker era. Star Beast trumps that on the stats. Now, listening to your point and trying to, this is what we're trying to do on the Sense Free. We're trying to cover 60 years of Doctor Who, and we're trying to give inclusivity to each era. We don't want to cancel an era and just dismiss it. We do want to explore. So go with us, even if you don't agree with us, folks. But the very first episode of Jodie Whittaker's era, as you know, was quite stratospheric on the figures. And then it was the tail off from there where fans were talking about. You've seen it on YouTube in various places going, look at that dramatic drop off. So I know what your argument is there, your discussion point, but there were, I suppose, a lot of fans, whether they liked it or not, give her that episode, didn't they? Did you think that was a fair episode, her opening episode? Do you think that summed up her Doctor, the writing, the production values were there? It's just that there was such a drop after that, wasn't there?
I don't think you could judge a Doctor on their first episode purely because any Doctor's first episode is a regeneration episode, all over the place, because the character's all over the place after regeneration. I think you've got to give it 2 or 3 episodes to really get a feel for that Doctor. For the sake of argument, you think about Colin Baker's first episode, and again, he's one of my favourite Doctors. But his first episode, he tried to strangle Perry. Now, if I judged him on the basis of that, I probably wouldn't have watched anymore. So I do think you have to kind of stick with it a little bit. But also, you think about Doctor Who as a show in its entirety. that's been going for 60 years. It's not one show; it's a continuing show. But actually, you compare, say, that's a story from William Hartnell's era to a story from Tom Baker, then a story from Sylvester McCoy, a story from Joe. They're different programs essentially from a production point of view. And actually, think of like different styles of production, different producers. So like, if I'm kind of sat with the eternal question, what Doctor Who should I watch today, which can take a long time because I'm massively indecisive. It depends what I want. So if I wanted, say, a B movie type sci-fi romp, I'd go for like The Rescue from William Hartnell's days. If I wanted something that was a bit kind of gothic horror, I might go for The Deadly Assassin, or like the horror of Fang Rock, that kind of thing. So actually, Doctor Who, even though it's one show, is many different shows. I almost think it's like a little bit of a chocolate box that you can kind of, and that's one of the things I like about it. You can kind of whatever kind of genre of sci-fi you're in the mood for, you can find something for that within Doctor Who. So, but that brings me back to actually give Jodie Whittaker a go, give her a fair chance.
Why did you think we ended up getting where we got to? I'm looking at that second special, 2.2 for the overnight, and then there was a pickup of 1.14, wasn't there, really? And the audience... Yeah, go on. It's just, it's interesting to look at the two, because audience appreciation, in the end, tends to reflect how I stand with lots of things. You think, oh, I enjoyed, I didn't like that episode. And then later on, you see the audience appreciation. You're going, actually, yeah, that's kind of marrying with where I stood on it, really. For example, out of the three specials we'll see in a minute, Wild Blue Yonder just dips slightly. I mean, it's all very tight with the three specials, but it dips a little bit more. Why do you think we got to such a pickle by the second special there?
I think two things happened, I would say, and obviously I love Jodie Whittaker's era, and I'm not going to apologise for that. But equally, I'm not looking at it through rose-tinted glasses. I think lots of things happened. I think that actually there were points where the writing wasn't great. I feel that towards the end of that, I feel like the production crew were actually panicking a little bit, because I kind of felt like the relationship between the production team and the fan base was at a bit of a low point, and I kind of feel like. You think her last episode, The Power of the Doctor, I thought was amazing. And actually that whole scene where you get previous Doctors coming back and you get the companion support group was really, really good stuff, which I loved. I did feel like, are you trying to appease a fan base a little bit here by bringing back a load of things that we're going to like? And if he's doing that on that basis, then that's almost like wrong, because it's like, don't appease the fan base. Don't just give us what you think we're going to watch. Give us something new. Give us something exciting. But it kind of felt like he was trying to scrabble around, trying to find fresh ideas, which is a shame. But that being said, I thought that was one of the best episodes. When you compare it to the one before, which I think was that the one with the Sea Devils in it, that special.
I know. I'm sad to say I have watched them all. I was fair. I can't. I think the Legend of the Sea.
I think it was
the 2.2. I think that's the scene as the nadir of Doctor Who, isn't it? The Legend of the Sea Devils was the lowest one.
And I watched it again recently, and I liked it, and I liked the plot, but it felt like there was something missing. It felt a little bit like Doctor Who by numbers, like great production values, kind of really good adventure plot, bring back an old monster, the Sea Devils. But that's my point. It felt like a little bit of a tick box exercise, I suppose, is what I'm saying, and it didn't. It felt like there was just something missing, I guess.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I'll just say this and move on, because it's nice to hear different opinions. I just didn't get the sense of the Doctor with Jodie, and I wonder if that was an essence of it. I don't know, but we'll jump to special 2, because what's good is we do have a slight difference of opinion on this, and that's the whole point of this show, isn't it? On the and I was just summing up where we were with that era. So second one, 7.14 consolidated. The jump there was 2.3 million, so still healthy pickup. But what we start to see here is it's the drop off of, well, in technically you've lost 500,000, haven't you? So in 1 week we've lost just short of 500,000. It's basically in the pickup we've lost 220,000 picking up, and by the drop anyway we've lost 250,000. So it's 470,000 viewers that they'd lost between special 1 and special 2. Now, it could be a multitude of reasons. There could be something else on. There could be people, we're getting closer to Christmas. People are busy, blah, blah, blah. But for my speculation, I do wonder whether it was an element of some of the things that went on in the Star Beast that anecdotally, people said to me they switched off either before the end or they switched off at certain points. It was the message, the preachy bit. That's anecdotally what people told me. And they weren't Doctor Who fans. They were just people tuning in to have a nosy. And they just anecdotally said that's when they switched off. So I just wonder if that has hit the 500,000 drop-off figure for this one. What do you reckon?
I mean, it could do. I didn't find that preachy at all, to be honest. But that's me. I think something else. So for me, I was chatting to my family when these specials were on, because I've got like a young niece, and she's kind of about the same age I was when I got into Doctor Who. And obviously, me being like the Doctor Who fan I am, I'm like, got to get her into Doctor Who because it would change her life. So she watched the first one and really, really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh yeah, we need to get her to watch the second one. And then, as I recall, Russell T Davies was saying, oh, this isn't really good for young children. And I knew they weren't going to be home to watch it live anyway. So we watched it, and I was like, oh no, don't let her watch that, because actually that's quite scary. So I do kind of think, to be fair, Russell T Davies was going around saying, oh, it's really scary for children. So if you're like, if you've got kids in the house, you're not going to want to traumatize them, are you? And I think there were bits in that were actually a little bit like, for young kids, certainly that's a bit too maybe close to the mark. And that being said, also, I think that in terms of jumping on points, and I know that with the Star Beast, they had that almost that pre-credit section where they got people back up to speed on, oh, this is Donna was my best friend and she can't ever see me again because she's going to die, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of think if you're going to come to that as a fresh viewer, already you're going to be like, well, I don't really know anything about that. Like, yes, you've been told as a viewer, but it's going to leave you feeling unsatisfied because then you're aware that you've missed stuff. So in that sense, I guess what I'm trying to say is, as jumping on points go, I think the Christmas Day one is going to be a better jumping on point. New Doctor, new companion, start again. So that might be why some of the audience figures have dropped off. And also, it's not been that long since it's been on, so there is still potential for people to watch it.
I noticed that, I don't know if you've noticed that that the BBC have now started showing billboards for Ncuti Gatwa. Suddenly they are ramping up in different sort of marketing compared to actually these 3 specials, which they'd heavily trailered for ages, didn't they? Lots of different trailers, but now the billboards are back, 2005 style, and people are starting to see them about. So this is probably the jumping off point, the jumping on point for most people, really. And of course, our good old Goblin Son in the charts to kind of arouse interest in another different way, marketing wise. I mean, I can't explain why there was the dip. 500,000 when you've got 12, 13 million is nothing, is it? But it's a smaller share, and you just wonder. But again, all the detail there is all about the fact that it's holding its own. It was the 9th most watched again. The dramas behind Doctor Who are much lower down, from Shetland and everything, really down to 2 million, 3 million. So Doctor Who, I have to say, is holding its own in that. It just looks frighteningly small. I think it's just because I'm comparing 2 eras, maybe. That's maybe the issue here. So again, just to give you the full kind of overview there of the 3 specials and the overnights compared to consolidated for 2, and the audience appreciation. And as you can see, you can hardly split them on audience appreciation. I mean, to me, there's no surprise that the 3rd one has a slightly better appreciation, which takes it into the excellent figure, because we had a regeneration. There's all that excitement. Even people who aren't Doctor Who fans normally want to have a nosy, don't they, at how it kind of pans out. 4.62, though, I suppose we've got to pick on that one at the moment. We don't know what the consolidated are quite going to be, but we've had that 470,000 drop off, and it's getting lower. And I was shocked that it was 4.62 even for overnights, because it was a regeneration. Now there's a lot of spin going on out there saying, oh, but regenerations actually don't always pick up. That's just a myth. And I'm thinking, I actually thought they always did pick up, actually.
I don't know. I would have thought a regeneration episode is an episode to watch, because I kind of think that you know, even when you go back to the classic show, that was like event television, like the 10th Planet, the Gopolis. People would tune in for every generation. So I don't know. But again, we watch TV in a very different way these days, don't we? And I kind of think, I think as much as I know what Russell T Davies says, and it's like you've got to watch this live because you're going to get spoiled if you see it on social media. But people don't watch TV live that much anymore. I know that we don't in our household. We kind of watch what we want to watch when we want to watch it. So. And we're getting closer to Christmas, which means people are busy. There's lots of stuff on. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm hopeful that the consolidated figure will pick up. If not, that's a shame. But I guess it's all going to be... The thing is as well, we can only really judge this in comparison to how well the Christmas special does, really, in terms of looking at patterns and trends. Because it'd be interesting if this doesn't do so as well, but yet the Christmas special does really, really well, then we know that people are wanting a new Doctor and something fresh about it. Whereas if this one does well with the consolidated figures, then we know it's still holding strong. But I guess we've got to wait and see is the answer, isn't it?
We do. It makes me wonder about, you know, that it was the 60th, we all know, and RTD and the BBC obviously decided to do 3 specials with Tate and Tennant, not linked stories really. And then we get the Christmas special, which we know is really the proper launch for Shooty's era. And you just wonder whether they've done the 3 specials to kind of just fill the Saturday slot for 3 weeks so that Doctor Who's around again. Because as you know, the argument is, well, you could have done a spectacular one-off special that may have got higher ratings, but then, of course, you've just then vacated 2 Saturdays for another show. I don't know. I mean, and whether it's been caught between 2 stools, whether it could have gone for the big, you know, whatever. Because I've heard some fans saying, well, you could have done more with the Toymaker, maybe, you know, in a longer story, you could have done more with that. However, I don't know. I suppose the 3 specials, in a way, whether you call them specials, spectaculars or whatever, they're never going to consistently keep the audience because that never works like that. I just wonder whether they've thought, yeah, that'll happen, but we want to keep the Saturday slot so people are starting to get used to Doctor Who back on Saturdays. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. For me, I think that, I guess, prior to the specials, there's loads of rumours about kind of previous Doctors coming back. And we're all kind of, you know, us Doctor Who fans, when there's an anniversary, we always want previous Doctor Who's to come back. And it's a bit like, well, we're getting to the 15th Doctor now. How many people can they fit into an episode? But that being said, I feel like when you think back to the 50th anniversary, that was the last, where you could argue the 60th specials were looking more towards the future. So I do kind of wonder if people were tuning in expecting kind of cameos from old Doctors and they didn't really get them. So you know, I don't know, but just a thought.
I know, we're Doctor Who fans. I'm never happy either. One thing I wanted to show you, you may have heard a discussion about this. I've seen certain fans going mad about it, but you can see there, it says Wild Blue Yonder for its consolidated got 6.9. But then we then discover, and I know that's tighter, that it jumped to 7.14. And one of my mates, Problem Being, wrote this one down, which the red ink there is basically saying it's supposed to be a 7-day consolidated stat, and this is an 11-day one. That for the Wild Blue Yonder consolidated, the BBC, for whatever reason, it was posted out that it actually got 6.9, and then 3 or 4 days later it says they got 7.14. So there's an argument about whether the BBC are trying not to give us the truth about what really has happened, and they're just trying to grab a few more figures so that the PR's a bit better. Did you hear about this?
No, I didn't. From a PR point of view, it makes sense. Like, the whole point of PR is to make everything look brilliant, isn't it? So people watch it. But also, I guess, like we've said earlier, we watch TV in a very different way these days. So who's to say it's not better to have a longer period of consolidation to allow people to watch stuff? I don't know.
Well, I agree with that. So eventually, when everybody finds our channel, I can actually say, oh my God, so many people have watched, but it's actually for such a long time. I'm with you on that one, Niall. If that's the way we want to do it, I'm very good with that. So yes, and of course the giggle did do better, and we did discuss that in our recent kind of inspection report on the episode. So please look at that, everybody, on our YouTube channel, etc. We did discuss that. I mean, I think we've said a few things in the program we did, and it's a regeneration, etc., etc. There was no surprise that actually that did really well. Now, I wanted to show you this just to see what your response was. Here's the linear regression, line by line, of each doctor overall, looking from start to finish. So you can see Chris Eccleston, brilliant start, comeback 2005, and there was the drop. Tennant, seen as the most successful doctor in the modern era, let's be honest, and the linear regression shows that. Matt Smith basically has got us in the middle, hasn't he? He's plateaued it, but it's a lower level. Then we've got Capaldi, and we start to have the proper drop-off that takes us lower than where Eccleston ended. And then we've got Geordie, where Geordie did have, as we said earlier, has spectacular start on the ratings compared. But as you can see there, it's actually almost... she's level pecking with Eccleston, really, on the level of, how steep the drop is, which is undeniable. And I understand your opinion and our discussion about how each doctor was received and all the rest and given a chance. But when you look at those 5 graphs, you think it's undeniable who was the most successful doctor and era. It's undeniable where the rot looked as though it started. And if I'm talking about in just 2 weeks, we've gone down quite a lot of viewers. We've dropped 500,000 in a week, and we've dropped 400,000 over 2 weeks on the overnights. Is Doctor Who going to last? That's what I keep thinking.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Eternal updates.
Yeah, I am, but I think we're just talking about the UK. We're not taking into account what's going to happen with Disney and this big international deal. The profile of the show is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and with that, it's going to become more budget, more fans, more success. So I just think you need to hold in there a little bit.
Would you be worried?
And I think actually,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you be worried if the British audience fell so low that what was keeping it going was the global element, therefore that the show has to change to reflect the overseas viewers? The Britishness of the show that has always been seen as, the Americans like the Britishness element, blah, blah, blah. Would you be worried that, say, we went... I mean, those graphs are scarily, going one way for quite a while now, and I don't see any change in this era yet. And I do want to see it, but I have to look at the reality there. Would you be worried that if the British audience has gone or is really minuscule, and the only thing sustaining Doctor Who is the overseas market, that it has to completely change its DNA almost?
No, because I think that, Doctor Who is a product, and a part of its identity is the Britishness. So I think regardless of what fans will support it, I think it has to have that sense of Britishness. Otherwise, it isn't Doctor Who anymore.
Well, I agree on that one, and that's what I hope doesn't change. When people look at figures, I'm not making the program, I'm not Disney CEO or something. When I look at the figures, I'm hoping they don't think something has to change because it's not quite doing what they want it to do. Of course, we're not party anymore, and we never will be, because the BBC's got a private arrangement with Disney. We'll never know what their target levels are for being content with this. We've just got to hope and do. It's classic, this. It takes me back to the 1980s when I was worried about, Colin Baker's Trial of a Time Lord not doing very well because it felt as though, of course, it was on trial. I remember worrying suddenly as a fan that, oh my God, every episode has to be good. Sylvester McCoy's era, going against Coronation Street. Oh my God, and I feel as though I'm doing it again, worrying about stuff when I really just want to watch the program.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to enjoy it.
Good. But if you want to show the viewers, Niall has it, and he showed you earlier. He has got a drink there, and that's maybe helping his optimism.
I'm quite merry.
I think that's helping your optimism. I think I'm going to join you. I think this tea's not helping me.
I think it is. It does amaze me when you think about Trial of a Time Lord. Like, you think about that as a PR point of view. It's like, oh, the program's on trial, so let's write about it. Let's draw attention to the fact that it's on trial. And you kind of think, even though it's a great story, like, well, parts of it, but it's one of my favourites. But just like, they'd never do that now.
No,
they just wouldn't do that. I will say though, thinking about Jodie Whittaker's era, one of the things that I think was a massive mistake was getting rid of the Christmas specials, because they're always a really good Christmas specials. I think work for Doctor Who because Christmas is family time. Doctor Who is a family show. A Christmas special is that kind of thing where you can all watch it around the TV, and actually creates nice moments with you and your family. But also, if you're a casual viewer, a Christmas special is a great jumping on point, because it's kind of almost isolated from the rest of the season. So it's kind of like a really good jumping on point if you don't normally watch it. So I kind of think losing that was a mistake, because I think they replaced it with a Halloween special, and it's like, people don't sit around and watch Halloween specials on TV. People go out for Halloween.
No, I understand.
So I think that was a mistake, and I do wonder, it'd be interesting if you had a TARDIS and you could go back and change things. If Jodie Whittaker did Christmas specials, I wonder if that would even that line out a little bit.
Yeah,
but we'll never know.
I think you're right, because it's a captive audience as well. And if you're going to catch an audience, you're going to catch them on Christmas Day, because there's nothing else to do. You are in the house with the family, stuff that some kids now don't normally do. They're back upstairs, but Christmas Day is one of those moments. They may be downstairs for longer, etc. And I think, there's a captive audience. RTD has always understood that, hasn't he? He always has understood that. Moffat continued it, and maybe. I mean, I know Chris Chibnall wanted to change things, but maybe that's one slight own goal, maybe, in strategy. Well, I mean, we've come to the end of the show, and I appreciate your time, Niall, on this busy time before Christmas, and I appreciate everybody who's going to watch us. So please, we're trying our best as a new channel to be noticed, to be out there, give us feedback. We meekly ask you for your subscriptions and likes, but if not, we'll just have to be more threatening. And we'll get the tone right, but basically, we would like to see you, and we would like to grow as a channel. There's good ones out there. I think that the pool is big enough for us all. So please join us Tuesday night. I've been advertising it all this show. Tuesday night we're going to do, and I know lots of people have done a YouTube review already, and that's fine. We're going to have one of the final says. We've had a lot of reflection time, so we will do a proper inspection report on it, and we'll give our overall views of it. Please join us there for some pre-Christmas banter about one of the specials. So thanks for your time, Niall, and if I don't talk to you on this stream or anything before Christmas, have a good Christmas. If not, I'll see you Tuesday. Either way.
Hopefully.
But thanks for coming on, and thanks anybody who's been watching us. I appreciate that. Bye, everybody. That was the Ratings Watch.